Hey everybody, Lee Livesay here. Man, we're talking about Lake Fork in the springtime. I'm gonna kind of break it down into three sections. You know, the pre-spawn early spring, and then going right into the spawn, and then immediate post-spawn. You know, pre-spawn on Lake Fork, in my mind, that's, you know, late December to early March. And that's when those fish are staging on points, in the backs of drains, on standing timber. And you know, the first bait I'm gonna pick up is just a jerk bait. And it just allows me to, you know, reach those fish that are suspending. They're still kind of cold. They love to suspend up in the water column and, you know, sun themselves and eat big shad and stuff. The water is usually a little bit colder pre-spawn, so that jerk bait just shines, you know. And the line size that I throw on it, you know, I actually like to throw it on, you know, Sunline Crank FC. So it's actually a fluorocarbon, 100% fluorocarbon line that's designed for, you know, crank baits, jerk baits, moving baits. It has a little bit of extra stretch. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do in the spring at Lake Fork, is look for those suspended fish, pre-spawners, whether it's over grass edges, timber, points, or drains. That jerk bait is hard to beat, and that Sunline Crank FC in 12-pound test is what I throw it on. And then from the pre-spawn, the early pre-spawn, then those fish are gonna start pushing towards the bank. You know, they're not ready to spawn yet. They're kind of roaming around. You know, they might be in 2 foot of water on some grass, or out in 4 or 5 foot of water on a big stump, on a point, maybe on a windy point eating shad too, just gorging up. But we're talking about, you know, up a little bit shallower than that jerk bait bite. And easiest thing I'm gonna pick up that I can cover water with, get big bites, and still make fish react is just a vibrating jig. You know, just everybody's got one tied on in the spring. You can throw it in muddy water, clear water. You can imitate shad up there shallow in the afternoons. You can imitate crawfish there in the morning. You know, they love it around stumps, windy clay points at Fork, and obviously if we have hydrilla in the lake, which we do right now, milfoil, it's a great bait to throw for those fish that are on that next stage of pre-spawn, getting ready to spawn. You can catch the females, the males, the fish that are gorging, and the fish that are about to get on the beds. But the line that I trust, and probably my most used line, is Shooter 20-pound for that vibrating jig. You know, Shooter is really tough. It's abrasive resistance. At Fork we have big stumps, spider stumps, trees, timber, and obviously great big Texas bass. The Sunline Shooter in 20-pound is my go-to. I can throw it in a foot of water or out to, you know, 8, 9, 10 foot of water if stuff's growing out that far. And it just allows me to hook those, you know, 8, 9, 10 pounders that I catch, pull them away from that timber, and still have the smooth castability that Sunline comes with, and it lasts a long time too. And then the fish kind of start spawning. You know, some are on bed, some are still pre, some are starting to get post. And that little phase of the spring on Lake Fork and in Texas in general, man, you know, a lot of people start throwing plastics and stuff, but myself, I love a topwater. You know, y'all seen me on the Elites winning at Fork on topwater in April. That's that time of year when the shad start spawning. Some bass are still spawning, but there's a lot of bass still pre-spawn and post-spawn. And that's when I pick up a topwater. But the key to this bait is, you know, obviously where you fish it, I'm gonna tell you about, but the huge thing for me is the braid. I throw it on Sunline FX2, frogging and flipping braid. It says frogging and flipping, but I use it on my walking baits. I like 40 and 50-pound test in Texas where I'm at. You say, you know, why 40 or 50? That sounds really big. Well, it's really not. You know, it has a really small diameter. It allows me to throw a walking style bait like this Dogma a mile. I can get on big soft clay points where those shad are spawning, big gizzard shad are spawning, and make a really long cast to them. And at the same time, it has, you know, no stretch. That FX2 braid has no stretch, so when I hook one way out there, I can pin them up on the rod, keep them hooked up. And we're at Lake Fork, you know, that allows me to reel it around stumps and shell beds and stuff, and you know, keep those fish hooked up. So hopefully some of those tips can help y'all come to Lake Fork in the spring in those different time variants. Y'all go catch the biggest bass of your life and check out all that line from Sunline.